Hello, everyone. Welcome. How have you been, my loves? I want to start recording another batch of my really awesome podcast that I just absolutely enjoy recording. However, I wanted to do them slightly different and I wanted to dive deep into a subject. And I thought, what if I stay on a subject for a week straight so we can really explore the subject? So I'm giving the subject a try this week. Let's see how it goes. I was wondering, well, actually, let me take that back. I heard that a lot of women, and from personal experience, like women would come to me and they would tell me, Katya, like, we barely have sex, we have sexless marriage, we just there is just not happening. And you know what I want to tell you, my dear? What I want to tell you is that you're not alone in this, and that it's a silent struggle for so many couples. It's a silent struggle for so many couples. Everyone is ashamed of talking about this simply because everyone feels that this is not something they want to get help on, because it's just a shameful place to be. You would think hey, you are married, you're supposed to have sex in marriage. And a lot of couples live like roommates. They don't have that intimate connection anymore. They don't have that playful spirit anymore. And sometimes it just happens in spurs. That would be a few months spur, and then it happens, and then another few months go by, right? And sometimes it happens in it just never happens. Sometimes it's been on multiple months, maybe even a year. And that is a sign of a serious problem. That is a sign that obviously something is off and it needs to have a deeper look. I'm not going to touch those kind of issues that couples are having, right? But I'm going to touch your normal, average kind of couple that is going through their own cycles of having sex, not having sex, and then there are obviously couples who just have it on the schedule. Either have it on the schedule or it just happens because this is something that was decided upon. So this conversation is not for them, right? This is a conversation if you are someone who is going through spurs. You had sex once and then you went on for multiple months without sex. So I want to talk to that. And the reason why I want to talk to that, because this is something I went through in my own marriage about 10, maybe even more years ago. More like 15 years ago, I would say. Actually, now that I'm thinking of, we haven't been married. So I would say it would be 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago. I would say maybe year 4 or 5 into the marriage. And simply because I was going through a thing and life was hard, right? And so we happened to went on and we never sat down and talked hey, what's going on? It was that elephant in the room that we haven't talked about. And this was still at the time I was still learning how to how to communicate. A lot of problems that couples are having they're having simply because they don't know how to properly communicate with each other. And with that being said, really, once you learn how to communicate with your partner, whether it's your spouse or your boyfriend or just a long-term partner, the better your relationship will be. Therefore, the better your life will be. And when you reach a point that you can truly communicate how you feel, you will understand the ease and like acceptance of the other side, and like you will learn how to work through things together, right? And then it is a problem if the other partner, if the other side does not want to work through things or does not want to join you in on your effort. That's a problem, right? So it is important to identify those red flags in the first place. I want to get back to sharing my story of sexless marriage and why that happened for us. And I'm going to talk from my perspective because we actually have never sat down and discussed like, hey, remember this day that we went through that we didn't have sex? What was that about? We never had that conversation. So honestly, I would actually now be interested in learning his perspective on this whenever next time we get an opportunity to have a heartfelt discussion. However, from my perspective, I remember I was going through a hard time. During childbirth was another thing. Like if your partner expects you to have sex like sooner than 3 months after you have given birth to a child, like it's just simply painful. And I've heard girls healing pretty quickly, and I've heard girls getting back to their sex life rather quickly, and that's wonderful. I remember for me, it took like the first month as recovery and shock from having this little baby and like not knowing what the hell to do with the baby. And then you get into your parenting mode where you are like constantly tired. So like sex and everything else is just on the back burner at that stage. Especially if if you had a C-section, you are recovering from such a major surgery. If you had natural birth, you still recovering, and it takes like mental time, like adjustment time, like so. Outside of that situation, unless you unless you have given a birth and like you're not having sex for like over 3 months, I think you have a proper reason, right? Like don't jump into it until you're fully ready. Your body's really recovering. It's just such a major thing. But if you haven't had a baby recently, and if you are going on and if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, like you're being super tired, you're being burned out, you're being stressed out, you're being depressed, that is one of the reasons or overwhelmed, that's another one, overwhelmed, that is one of the reasons why you might not have the desire to, or mind, or like that's not part of your priority, right? So what is the solution? And we'll talk about solutions, and I actually want to look at each reason separately, and we will talk about the solutions in individual podcasts that I will be doing. But the solution is to re-spark yourself and reorganize your priorities and put sex back on your priority list for both of you, right? Because why is this important? It is important because when you avoiding, and so for guys specifically, sex could mean so many other things. This could mean emotional connection. This could simply be something that's fun and doesn't mean anything else. But for most guys in a couple, it's an expression of your love for them, right? And so if you don't engage in sexual activity, they take it as they are not appreciated, they're not valued, they are not being loved, they're not like fulfilling their role as like, or being like, that's their reward for like being the masculine role within the family and all that. So when you are struggling with getting your mojo back, you are struggling primarily with just bringing that or having space for that other person within yourself. And when you don't have the space for them within your life, they feel left out. And how long do you think they will feel left out before they actually leave because they're not fulfilling their emotional needs, right? So I'm not saying go have sex just because he's gonna leave you or like go to another girl. That's not at all what I'm saying. Most likely, most guys won't. They're loyal. They want for you to be happy. But if they if they can get through to you, there is a bigger problem. And the solution for that problem is to turn yourself back on. And you might have like, or there might be misunderstandings, or you feel left out. There's so many reasons. Like, that's why there is sex therapy in existence, because there are so many different reasons why you might be misinterpreting or why you might be experiencing these kind of issues in the first place. Now, if you like, I'm not a sex therapist, so if you are truly experiencing a problem, please go seek professional help. If you feel that it's just a phase and it is a matter of reorganizing your priorities, please put that back onto your list, because that's the only thing that the two of you can do that nobody else can do together, right? Like, it's the only thing that is in between you and him that makes both of you special for each other, right? And I always say a lot of women, when they turn into motherhood and they become mothers, they start prioritizing the kids, the family, the schedule, and they put their relationship on the back burner. They put their kids first and then the relationship. I was always a fan of putting your relationship with your partner first before kids, simply because when he or she, your child, grows up, he or she will go into the world, and the only two people that's gonna be left is you and him. And if you have not prioritized each other, you may not be together by that time, right? So it is very important to get back into having this relationship first and then having the family second. It is very, very important. And another super important moment within that, before I will wrap up for this portion of my podcast, is that when you are in a mindset of doing it, even though you're not like you're doing it simply because you're open to the experience, right? Simply because like you might not have the desire, but simply because you are in a mindset that you might not have the desire now, but when you get started, it will appear, right? And so I'm always a big proponent to that idea. Like, even if you don't feel like it just yet, like join in on a game. You will open up that playful side. Something will open up, and even if it doesn't, then so what? Like, what have you lost? And you just had fun. That's all that is. So I think it is super important. It needs to be on your priority list if you are living in a sexless marriage, and if you are not, have just had birthed a baby. I think it is important for you to set your priorities straight and put sex back into marriage. A lot of the girls that I work with, they come to me and to my girls and my team and to just everything that we do within the Love Goddess brand, with that desire to respark the turn on for themselves, the life, the marriage, to do something spicy to spice the life up, right? Because if it's lacking the spice, that's primarily like maybe you just got bored, right? And so when you for example come in for a boudoir session, you have this beautiful experience of seeing yourself beautiful. You naturally respark that desire to be playful, because you now fell back in love with yourself and you find yourself beautiful and desirable, right? And so you like something lights up. So that is when you come in for boudoir session. We are about to launch something super, super awesome where we're gonna live stream and have amazing classes on our app that is coming very soon. You can also come in and you will be able to join us for physical dance classes where we will tap into your feminine sexuality. That will also respark that feminine spirit, that will also respark that desire, that femininity, that fierceness that you may have lost when you have gotten into a rut, right? So it is super important to use the tools that we are providing you with, my loves, to be able to, what I call it, connect to your love goddess daily, or tap into your love goddess daily, to reconnect to that sexy, fiery, feminine spirit of yours that will just lead you with that energy of power, with that energy of beauty, with that energy of inspiration. And you will just bloom. You will just bloom and reconnect to that passion for life that you lost in the first place. And that's probably why you have sexless marriage. I'm going to drop the link to join in on a wait list of something big that is coming, that's going to be around sensuality and the tools that we are about to give you, how to tap back into that feminine energy of yours. So I will put the link below in the description to learn how you can tap into that sensuality. We will be launching soon, so stay tuned. We'll be releasing all the details. But in the meantime, let's leave it at that. Let's reprioritize our sex life, put it back on a priority list, treat it with urgency, treat it with importance. It is something that connects you and him together, and it is something that's important, and it is something that will respark you as well. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will talk with you later. Bye.